are. It is Saturday afternoon. We're in Costa Verde with a billion other people, and it was just pouring torrentially as we had to run into a couple of stores to pick up a few things. I'm just gonna go around to the back of the parking lot now to the Pricesmart. So every time we go into a store here, there is a temperature check machine set up, and you have to wave your hand in front of it, and it will tell you that your temperature is normal, and then you sanitize your hands and you can go in the store. Restaurants usually have a staff member come up and have a handheld one, but every single store we've been in since we've been here that happens, and I've never seen anybody not do it. And if your temperature isn't normal, then the security guard pulls you out of line and you have to try again, or you don't get in the store. So that's happening everywhere here, and it's going to be weird to get home and not have to do that. Can you guess where we are? Pricesmart, partly owned by Costco. Very similar setup. Not quite the selection. Just a few things today. Is a big ass fan. It even says so. We are down at almost the very end of Punta Chame. I saw this shipping container hotel online advertised, so we came down to have a look at it. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's right on the beach. There's a pool, and a little bar restaurant over there, little balconies in the upstairs rooms. It's very busy, so I don't think we can get inside to see a room. Very simple design. All the rooms have a different color door. Beautiful. Definitely want to come back here and see this again. On our way up to El Valle to meet with the engineer on the project, and there's a tree down across this 2-lane road, so they're hacking at it with machetes. About 10 minutes later, and we're almost clear. I hear chainsaws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys I can see.
Just locals.
Yep.
Locals come out to solve the problem. Gracias, amigos. Gracias.
3, 4, 5, 6 more guys on this
Gracias,
side.
amigos.
So this is the entrance to our property between these 2 white pillars. We have this chain up here that's getting a little bit rusty now. So I'm just going to spray paint it orange so that it'll be a little more visible, so people don't try and drive through it to come up our driveway. There we go. That's a little bit more visible. There's always lots of painting to be done here. These white pillars could use a good scrub. And the orange dripping down the front there is just the rust off the nails that are holding the clay up, and probably a little bit of the clay. So I think my pineapples are growing, but the gardener can't get close enough with the weed whacker to get all these weeds around it without chopping down said pineapples. So I'm going to have to dig a few out by hand. There we go. Now we can actually see the earth around the pineapples. You can see there is new growth coming up through the middle.
So, the shell when it first went down is like this. We've marked the exterior exactly once it's aligned up perfectly inside and square. So that way we know how to return to this point. We use a jack, which I'll show pictures of right now, that we just manufactured quickly out of some scrap steel that locks onto 2 bolts that are in place in the panels at the straight up and down section here of the panel, and those lock in like forks, one here and one here, and then we put a small hydraulic jack underneath, jack the jack up, and that lifts up the whole shell. We only need to get it up as high as that piece of tape, the sill tape that goes under here, and the 2 beads of silicone. So it only has to come up about this high, and we can leave the other pins and the shell in place while we work on a small section at a time. So we roll out the sill tape that goes on here until it's all one continuous piece. Lift up the shell in a section, slide the sill tape underneath. The sill tape I have is 5 inches wide, so it sticks out on both sides. Then we drop the shell back down, make sure it's lined up on the line, and then we start drilling holes in the cement to attach it with spanning bolts. After it's been bolted down and the bolts are secure, we then come along with the Sika adhesive again and cut the tape, and then apply the Sika adhesive to make a slope between the panel and the cement. And the Sika goes on the panel itself about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and then onto the cement for a couple of inches. That way it has lots of adhesion to the cement. If you just make a little short bead that's a 1/4 bead here, what ends up happening is that any flaws in the cement floor or the cement slab, or any misses in the pressure of applying it that might be a little lighter, will leave a space where water could enter underneath. So we want to make sure that this is a nice gentle slope that covers all the way out from the bottom of each of the panels. The next thing is to make sure we leave some cement out here that is not covered in Sika, because eventually we're going to apply another waterproofing measure on top of this, so we need that to stick to the cement as well. Then all the bolt heads are covered in Sika all the way around to make sure no water comes in through the threads or through around the nut or under the washers, and we've done that all the way along here. And we will do that all the way around the entire structure. You can see where we've already done the heads of all of the bolts in this section, all the way up to about there right now. We will do every single bolt. There is Sika applied over the head of the bolt. The threaded side uses a resin cap that Green Magic Homes manufactures that fits right over top of this. In the bottom of the cap, I'll show that later, we apply a bead of Sika all the way around, and then it slides right over top and seals completely around here. That way it protects this from water entry as well. And after we assembled all the panels, we went along and anywhere the panels connected, we added another bead of Sika on the exterior, and then using a piece of plastic bag, actually is the best way to do it. You can actually fold the bag right over the Sika and sort of smear it down this way, and that then creates this covering that starts on this side, goes over the seam and back on this side. So we have Sika here on the outside, there's Sika between every panel. You saw us applying that with the wavy application and the circles around the holes. The Sika on the bolt, the Sika on the nut side of it with the caps, and the Sika on the foundation at the bottom. And then there's still more to go, but this is where we are at today's portion of what we're doing in the build. And I'll just take you around to where the boys are. So we've got this long side all done. And we are coming around to this side. We've got the Sika done here. There was some water from the roof coming off from earlier rains. It was happened to be falling right here. So we're letting this piece of concrete dry before we apply the final Sika angle or slope to this side. And we'll just keep going over here, around the other side. Some more. And right now the guys are on this side, applying Sika to the boat, filling up the holes.
Yeah, just ran outside to open the gate for Greg because he has to run up to the property. And yeah, it's pouring rain, so I'm just going to stay home and do some laundry and stuff.